It's a Friday, not that much of a happy one as the Mets keep on losing 6 straight losses, and they try to sharpen the blade with Tidwell on the hill tonight in Philadelphia. And, we didn't have a guest last week, so we're back to bringing our weekly guest in. And he's been calling the fan for a while, and he hosts Blunt Thoughts on YouTube. And I question you might need a blunt when you're talking about these blunt thoughts, watching these New York Mets right now. It's Hector from Washington Heights, HHEC13 on Twitter is where you could follow him. Hector, welcome to Mets Daily. Happy Friday. I mean, we're happy. I guess we're alive. Maybe we're not. I don't know. If watching the Mets, maybe you don't want to be alive right now.
Right.
But we still love this team. We talk about this team. So welcome to Mets Daily. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jake, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. And you said it all. I mean, it's supposed to be a happy Friday. And yes, we are alive. And anytime you can wake up and smell fresh air and see the sun out as it is today, you're happy. But as a sports fan, man, I am not happy. And definitely not as a Met fan right now. It's just kind of miserable.
From the best team in baseball to now the biggest struggle in baseball, and it feels like just yesterday almost we were in a 6-game win streak. You had the best record. And 6 losses later, you have fans losing their minds and saying, fire David Stearns, fire Carlos Mendoza, and fire Eric Chavez. Now, out of those three, I think the only just one that you can say is Eric Chavez. I don't think they're going to fire him yet. But listen, if this team continues to hit the way they've been hitting the last week, my thought is in the next 7 games, we're going to see a lot about this team. We're going to learn a lot about this team. 2 divisional foes, 1 that just spanked you, 4 at home where you're good at, and 3 here in Philadelphia with a matchup that does not favor you in Tidwell versus Wheeler. If they go 1-6 or 0-7 in the next 7 games, Hector, I think there is a chance they do one of those moves like firing Eric Chavez, because right now this last week is not unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
No, it really is. And I've been back and forth on the whole Eric Chavez and the hitting coach thing. And we can't just say Eric Chavez, right? And we think about Eric Chavez, that's a name that we all know. Although we know that Jeremy Barnes is the assistant. But I've been thinking about this, Jake, and I would love to hear your opinion on this. Because we know Eric Chavez and we say fire Eric Chavez. But whenever I hear the players speaking, they're talking about Jeremy Barnes. Oh, well, I was talking to Jeremy Barnes about this. Well, Jeremy Barnes told me to do this. We know Jeremy Barnes changed Brandon Nimble's approach. So who the hell is really responsible here? When we say the hitting coaches have to do something, we need to get rid of the hitting coach. Are we getting rid of both? Are we getting rid of just Eric Chavez and putting Jeremy Barnes back as the head? Because I did a little thing on my YouTube, as you mentioned, and I do Mets Talk Unfiltered, also separate with Eddie. And during that, I looked up and I said, okay, how were we doing when Eric Chavez was the hitting coach? We did pretty well in 2022. We know it ended bad and everything, whatever. Then they make him the bench coach because they're afraid of losing him. And Jeremy Barnes takes over in 2023. That didn't go well. We go to last year, and it doesn't start well either until supposedly Chavez finally found his way, got more involved, whatever. I'm that now that I'm speculating. Is that how the numbers got better last year? Some people want to credit JD Martinez or bring JD Martinez back as hitting coach. I don't know. I don't want to be long winded, but I think yeah. And now I'm at the point where something has to give.
So
Something has to give, Jake. We can't keep going like this. And whether it be because we know all these players go and they all have their own hitting coaches that they go to and all that stuff. But whatever the preparation is, the fact that we now want to be this controlled aggressive team, controlled aggression they call it, and swinging first pitch with men on base, swinging first pitch with runners in scoring position, which I understand sometimes. But when you don't have success over and over, where's the adjustment?
So what you're telling me is Barnes is not so noble, is what you're saying. That's one of my dad's favorite
Yeah,
store. He reads the car magazines at Barnes and Noble. So, Barnes, maybe he's the guy that we're pointing to Eric Chavez because he's the name. But you're right, Barnes is not your household name. The average Mets fans doesn't know that Barnes exists.
yeah.
So that's an intriguing point. And in the end, on top of that, the pitching was terrible this past week. And that is, to me, Hector, my biggest concern right now. Tyler McGill is out to August, which we're not going to lose sleep over because he was exposed, and I think we had seen enough of Tyler McGill.
Yeah.
Kodai Senga, 5 weeks. The reality is he's out to August. They're gonna take their time with him. He takes a while to heal from injuries. I'd be a little surprised if he's back in July. Frankie Montas is going to start against our will next week because I tweeted, he literally had, I've never seen the worst month of rehab in the history of this sport. I've never seen a pitcher on a 30-day rehab trial not have one good outing. And I'm not the guy that reads in a minor league stats that much. Like, I agree, you just want him to feel good. But the guy was giving up homers. He wasn't striking anyone out. Like, I think it's more so his contract is the reason he's going to pitch, and the other reason is they're the walking wounded. They don't really have anyone else. So we're throwing Tidwell out today, Hector. We're throwing Montas out next week. Everyone's hurt. The trade deadline's still over a month away, so you're not making a trade this week. There's no starter on the scrap heap that you could pick up. So the biggest concern for me, I think the bats will get going eventually. They always go through dry spells. Today through the next, 2 months, the weather is 90 and above. Like, you look at the temperatures, the heat, balls are going to fly out starting tonight. You're going to see a bunch of homers this weekend. But the pitching, which was once our bread and butter as the best ERA in baseball a few weeks ago, has now gone to shit.
Yeah, and it stinks because it's the worst possible time that it can happen, right? And yeah, honestly, it's what's carried us. It's what's carried us, and you came into these 11 games now down to 7, and we were talking about, at least I was talking about, let's make a statement here. The Braves are where they are. We can possibly bury them and show them that it's our time now.
And now they
And we're ready.
believe. They believe. I got Braves fans in my chat saying we're
Of
back.
course, as they should, and I'm pretty sure that I was thinking that. I'm pretty sure they're coming in, their fans, and even probably them. And I know it's different players and all of that stuff, but they have some of the same players. We have some of the same players. I'm pretty sure they were looking at it like, okay, let the New York Mets show us that they're not the same old Mets. But this is a chance for us to get right against a team that we're used to getting right of, and they happen to be ahead of us. And they were able to do exactly that. But the pitching, hey, we came in talking about all this depth. We got depth. Now we can debate how good the depth was, but the depth is definitely being tested. And it's okay when you have Kodai Senga there, who everybody debates whether he's an ace or not, but he's getting the job done more often than not. Is he going deep into games? No, but he's getting the job done. Do we have to give him an extra day of rest? Yes. Did that possibly hurt us with the bullpen and all that? Maybe. But now you have Kodai Senga get hurt. You already started the year with the guy that you were hoping that was going to take a next step to being an ace, and Shaman Nair on the IL. And then the aforementioned Frankie Montas, who nobody is looking forward to. But all of these injuries, and then now McGill, who, yeah, nobody really cried when he was hurt. You know what's funny, Jake? All the stuff I do, I host these spaces on X as well, too, right? For those that know X, you host these spaces, whatever people come in and talk. And last week, guy after, what are we going to do with this guy? What are we going to do when Montas becomes healthy? When Sean Manaea comes back, they're down there eating. Guys, why? This stuff usually takes care of itself. And now here we are, like you said, with Blade Tidwell starting tonight,
Ugh.
who probably has no business starting a major league game. And can we
I
have any confidence?
I
I
hate
don't.
that they're not giving Noah McLean a shot. And for me, it just feels like they're starting his clock too early. They have to DFA someone. DFA Chris Davinsky, DFA Austin Warren. We're not going to see these two guys. I mean, if we're seeing them, then everyone's hurt. If we're seeing Austin Warren and Chris Davinsky. So God forbid you got to construct the roster different to see one of our starters. Because listen, if Montas implodes versus the Braves next week, then you're thinking about moving him to the bullpen, and then you're going to have to make a move anyway. Like, don't no disrespect to Blade Tidwell. He's getting called up. We saw him once. He got absolutely shelled in the first game of a doubleheader against the Cardinals. So maybe he gets shelled again. Maybe he delivers, but he just gave up 6 runs in AAA too. Noah McLean is a
Well, that's
2
what they
ERA.
say. They didn't do good here. They went down to AAA. It's not like he figured things out.
It- it-
Now, but do you think them not bringing up Nolan McLean is about the clock thing and not
I
wanting
think
to
it's the
start in the Major League?
roster. I don't think maybe at this
It's
point in June,
not been
still in
on
the
for him.
first half, they don't want to risk losing a depth reliever maybe when they might need him in a week with the way the injuries are going. Maybe
Right.
their thought is we'll wait to see how Montas does. If he's gives up 7 runs his first start, we'll give McLean his spot in the rotation and move Montas to the bullpen. Because they basically said it's one and done. So maybe their thought is we don't want McLean to be one and done. We want McLean to stick. But to me, it's like It's Mets Phillies to Friday night. You're facing Zach Wheeler. You're trying to stop the bleeding, and you're throwing out a guy who looked so overmatched in his only outing. Like, you're basically, I'm going to the game tonight, and my thought is, like, I'm going to enjoy my surf sides. I'm going to enjoy doing a food review at the ballpark, have pop a lactate before I eat a cheesesteak. But I'm not thinking about a victory. Like, you're not betting Mets money line tonight because, you're going to this matchup facing Zach Wheeler, who always has a chip on his shoulder against the Mets, with a guy who doesn't really belong here. So I thought it's kind of an old, kind of same old Met kind of move, throwing out a guy who is, let's be honest, he's probably going to get rocked, and we pray he doesn't.
Right. And I think maybe it's time, as you're saying all of this stuff, I'm thinking, and you know what, you're right. And it's time that we start acting like the competitor or the World Series aspiration, whatever the hell the word is, that we claim to be. We saw the Braves push Chris Sale back, which I try to dismiss, right? People try to bring that up again in the space. I'm like, who cares? I don't care what they're doing. Handle our business. You can want to push back Chris Sale to come up against us. Okay, cool. That shows the urgency that they're playing with. Well, maybe we need to start showing, if not urgency, but the respect or the want to say, you know what? Yeah, these games matter. They all matter. 162 games matter, but these are our division opponents. It is time for us to make a statement. And maybe, yes, go and, like you said, it's Friday night, it's Philadelphia, it's Zach Wheeler, it's the guy that got away. Well, you know what? We got something here. We're going to throw Nolan McLean out there who's rocking it out in the minor leagues, who we think could come out here in the major leagues and be a big part of what we're doing now and in the future. But no, instead, we got Blake Tidwell because we believe in the pitching lab and we believe in this, we believe in that. That's another thing. We got real cocky last week as an organization talking about the pitching lab. Both Mendoza and David Stearns. And I know you watch this stuff because you're a good fan and you do this. So when you do what we do, we gotta listen to these guys. I know you heard them and they were real cocky about no, we don't need to move our rotation around. We don't need to do this. Well, I don't care about expected numbers, David Stearns, right? When they asked him about how we're overachieving in the rotation. But we've been getting smacked around ever since. And even the game we pitched well. Even the one guy who we can exclude from this, Jake, a guy that I challenged since the offseason to be an ace. And then coming into Tuesday night, I said, you know what? We need a stopper. We need an ace. David Peterson, show me what you got. He goes out there for the most part, does the job.
I mean, he did
And
the
then
job. I mean, he
yeah,
he got charged with a couple runs, but really he gave up one. I mean, you can argue he
right.
was left in a batter too long, but a complete game gets in the eighth inning. Clay Holmes. We got to talk about Clay Holmes. I am concerned because when we talk
Yes.
about three healthy starters, it's Holmes, Peterson, Canning right now. Peterson's been great. Canning has regressed. He's come down to earth. And then Holmes, I'm worried because the innings limit and the skipping of the starts is coming. With the
Yes.
time is coming. It's going to happen. And I worry that he might not be available for October, assuming we get there, which who knows. Now, I think me and you are on the same page where we believe in this team to be a playoff team. And I'm not
Yes.
letting a week blind. I'm not going Frank the Tank. We're losing 30 in a row and the season's over. I still believe this team is going to be a World Series contender. And I believe, we already hear the reports. They're going to go for an outfielder. They're going to go for starting pitching. They're going to go for bullpen. This is really a make it or break it all trade deadline for David Stearns. I
Yes.
talked about yesterday on the show. He dipped his toe in the water last year. Got Jesse Winker, Ryan Stanek. Very good moves,
Mm-hmm.
solid moves. Now you're going for the big reel. Maybe that's Sandy Alcantara, although he's been terrible this year. Jaron Durant would be kind of a big reel move. But to me, the importance is starting pitching. And the way Holmes, is going to be limited at some point hurts your rotation even more. And now the pressure really is on Sean Manaea to be second half of the
Yes.
2024 season. Sean Manaea, who was an ace. I don't want to hear people say he was not an ace last year. Second half of the year, he was arguably the best pitcher in the sport. The pressure is on Manaea to come back here and be this ace because they need a good Band-Aid. They don't need the Walgreens store brand Band-Aid. They need whatever the main brand Band-Aid, I don't know, Johnson and Johnson Band-Aid. They need the strongest Band-Aid possible. And Sean Manaea, if he's not that guy, my God, you need an ace more than ever.
Yeah, and it's gonna suck, right? Sean Manai, who's a great dude, I had a pleasure of meeting a couple of times. Had
Nice
a
guy, very
pleasure of
nice guy.
playing catch with in Central Park, believe it or not.
Was that
Um,
you? You were playing catch with
yeah,
him?
yeah, yeah. I was the one that actually recognized him and said what's up, and then he's like, "Yo, you think you want to? What do you guys want to play catch?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me, dude?" hell yeah,
Was he
let's
throwing
do it.
cheese? What was he throwing? Speed? Was he throwing volley
No, because
floaters?
remember it's All Star break. He's just trying to go out there and just I gotta throw. He's like, yo, I'm getting the first start coming out the break possibly.
What
I
park
got
was this
throw.
in? Where was this?
This was in Central Park.
Oh,
Central
Central Park.
Park,
Okay.
Central Park has tons of fields.
Yeah, yeah.
They call it the Herksha Ball Fields. So it's like the from like 59th Street to 63rd or somewhere along those lines, or 61st, whatever. So he came out there. We were there. I played softball there on Tuesdays. Um, but it's unfortunate that we're not going to put that pressure on Sean Mania, whom is coming back from an injury, whom you would like to be able to ease in. And eventually, like you said, when we get to October, where we have confidence that we will be, that he would be at his strongest then. But now, boy, you got to come into the fire and be that band aid, like you said, and not a cheap one. We need you to stick. When we put you on, we need you to stick because, yeah, it's leaking really bad for this rotation, bullpen, even look, Brazelban, who's been phenomenal this season. We were talking about May, Brazelban All-Star game.
No.
Oof, last couple of outings, I don't know, and I'm sure he'll figure it back out too. But yeah, Sean Manaea coming back and being that ace is gonna be huge. Because can we really count on Kodai Senga to come back anytime soon? I don't know.
No, probably August. And same with our bald, bearded brother, Reed Garrett. I mean, Reed
Oh,
Garrett's a guy
gosh,
who you could
yes,
say is an
another one.
all-star. I don't know if there's anyone I stress more when they come in than Reed Garrett. And the guy's got like a
Yeah,
.9 ERA. So he's come down to earth. Brazaban's come down to earth. His bullpen is leaking. The pitching staff is leaking. They have got to have a big deadline. They got to get guys come in and be healthy. And listen, Manaea, I agree. You shouldn't have all the pressure on him. But I'll also say this. When you sign a 3-year, $75 million contract,
yeah,
you are coming in to be the ace of this franchise. Kodai Senga is 5 for 75. You're getting paid more than anyone in this rotation. And, I think David Stern's quickly realizing not signing Jose Quintana, that 1-year, $4 million deal, because you had enough starting pitching, was
right.
tragic. And Montas was an early offseason reactionary move. They signed him before he even saw the pitching market play out, where he probably could have had Jack Flaherty for a similar price, or maybe someone. Now, Corbin Burns, I think that was genius not to get
Yeah,
him because
jeez.
that's worked out poorly. But, Montas is going to be our pitching version of a Jed Lowry. He's going to be our tragedy that didn't work out. Now, let's give him a shot. I said on here, let's see him for a start. He deserves that. You can't just judge him off the minors. I don't have high hopes. You're watching Mets Daily. Subscribe. Smash that thumbs up on this video. Make sure you join the Mets Daily Insider membership channel. First exclusive video will drop this weekend where I tell you how the 2024 Mets saved my life. Members only. $5 a month, cheaper than a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee is like $7 at Starbucks now if you get a large. So become a member of the channel. But if you don't have $5, just subscribe. Click that button below free. And comment below. What do you think the Mets should do? I talked yesterday about what they should do, Hector. Seth Lugo. The Royals are a team that's under 500. Seth Lugo has a player option for next year for $15 million. If he has a great season, my guess is he opts out and tries to get maybe 3 for 60 or 3 for 50 and maybe opts out of that deal. If there's a chance that he opts out of that player option, I got to imagine the Royals are saying, you know what? We'll take a few mid-level prospects for Seth Lugo. Any intrigue, because I tweeted about it, it blew up. It's just a fact. Jacob deGrom hates New York. He does not want to be back with the Mets. DeGrom ain't coming back. He doesn't like New York politics. He doesn't like New York lifestyle. He wants to rot into irrelevancy on a farm in Texas where he can milk cows, ride horses, and ride whatever Yoenis Cespedes rode that tore his ACL. That's what Jacob deGrom wants to do. He wants nobody near his home. He wants no paparazzi. He wants no pressure. He wants to ride into the sunset with Ted Cruz and company in Texas. Enjoy that life in fucking Texas. Enjoy it. Sorry, Texas people. I'm sure it's nice there. But that's where Jacob deGrom wants to be. So I don't want to hear about the deGrom rumors. I don't know that about Seth Lugo. I haven't heard anything that he doesn't like New York. Would you have any interest if he became available? I said a package of Lugo and their backup catcher, Freddie Furman, who is having a solid year. They obviously have Salvador Perez, so they're not going to trade. I don't think Perez is beloved in Kansas City. But even if it's just Lugo, any intrigue? Because I'm trying to just brainstorm names, Hector, and it's Alcantara, who's been bad. Can the pitching lab fix him? Can he be the guy who threw, 6 complete games in a season and then ended up having Tommy John, which maybe that ended up ruining his career? I'm trying to think of other names. The Pirates, Bailey Falter doesn't intrigue me. Skeens obviously does, but he'll take trading away the whole farm. I don't. That's one name that keeps coming to my mind. Hector is
Take
Seth.
him.
Seth. Yeah, I mean obviously, but Seth Lugo, Hector, is the name that keeps coming to my mind.
No, listen, a couple of things there. First thing is, I'm not a prospect hugger. Omar Minaya told me one time prospects become suspect. And I totally believe that. If I can get Paul Skeens, who I know now is a sure thing, Jake, take all of them damn prospects. And now there's some of them that I like and I would not like to give away. But man, oh man, oh man. The second thing is I share a lot of what you said with Jacob DeGrom. But if some way, somehow we could get him back, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah.
It worries me because, yeah, and then, but listen, he may not like it here. He pitched here before, and he pitched pretty damn good. So I'm pretty sure he could suck it up again.
He's
And I
got a
don't think,
long no trade list. The Mets are on
no,
it,
no,
though.
I know, and it's
Of
probably
course, if he
impossible.
was available, I wouldn't hate him, but he's not the greatest guy, and I don't think he would fit in this
No, he
clubhouse, to
just,
be
oh,
honest, either.
that I
So,
know. I've had some coaching in the past with him, but
yeah,
whatever.
he's a
And I've heard some
douche. He's just
stories.
a douche. Let's just keep it real. He's a douche.
um, but no, Seth Lugo, why not? Listen, why not? We talk about guys that maybe got away, and sometimes we wonder. Excuse me, I'll answer that by asking you a question also. But yeah, I would definitely be intrigued by that. And you asking me about Seth Lugo made me think of something that I saw on X, and I forget who was it that put it up. And someone said maybe it's time to try Jose Buto as a starter. And I know it's someone, and they've said they don't want to go there with him this year. Like Mendy was like adamant about it early in the year, like we're not doing that. He's gonna be the multiple innings guy. And if we're gonna talk about bringing a Seth Lugo back, and you think about all the time that and they did try him starter, but then once they put him in the bullpen, they said that's it, no more. Do we maybe try that again with Jose Buto before we totally give that up? But it may not be the right time for it.
I was gonna
But
say the
yes, I
issue
would
is
definitely go get Lugo.
I mean, the issue is late June, and you have to stretch them out, and that's going to take
Right.
time. And your whole point is you need it. 877 cash now. You need cash now. You need arms now. 877 need arms now. Sing the song with
Right.
me. Need arms now.
Need arms now, yeah, for
Like
sure.
you've seen the commercial. That's what they need. It's the same amount of letters. CASHARMS. It is four
Right.
letters. It works. So maybe we got to get jingle on that and do a song of
Yeah.
877 need arms now. But for real, like we could talk about Jaron Durant. Listen, I think Durant and Mullins are realistic. Mullins to me, I feel like will be a Met. Like the Orioles. And that brings the other question of catcher. And I think if you can get some kind of package of Mullins and Adley Rushman, because how long are we going to hold on to this? I don't want to give up on Alvarez, but you're trying to win a World Series. And as much as I like Luis Torrens and we like Alvarez, the reality, like I've said on here, Torrens is a backup catcher. He gets exposed playing every day. He's not a great hitter. He's elite defensively, but you can't have an automatic out, a 220 hitter, that sub 300 on base in the 8, 9, 7, 6 hole wherever they're hitting. And Alvarez has completely lost his power. He's completely lost his confidence. I talk about Freddie Furman in Kansas City, Adley Rushman. Rushman has had a bit of a down year, but he does have more pop. He has 8 homers. He has had a down year. He's not expensive. Would the Orioles move on from him if the Mets say, hey, we'll give you a Sproat for Rushman? I'm not high on Sproat, to be honest. I'm not very, he continues to get
No,
shelled in the minor
no,
leagues.
that's another guy. Yeah, exactly. That's getting shown. That's just I didn't expect that name.
Maybe that's a little much. That might be. How about Tidwell and Alexi Ramirez for
Right.
Rushman? How about that?
No, listen. I was gonna ask you like, wow, you think the Orioles will move on from Rushman? But I was gonna ask you another question before. But when we're talking about making these moves and stuff like that, I'll be honest, Jake. I don't play fantasy sports. I don't do fantasy baseball, so I don't know a lot of what's going on in depth. With a lot of players around the league. So right now, I can't tell you I have a list of guys because oh my gosh, I see these numbers in fantasy and they're doing great. Or I have them on my fantasy team, or they kick my ass in fantasy. No, if I watch MLB Network as much as I can. I watch the Mets. I read what I can. So I don't know if Adley Rushman is available. What I do know is we give David Stearns a lot of credit. We put David Stearns up there as one of the best front office guys.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What I need to see from David Stearns right now is make the transition from being a small market, mid market, whatever the hell Milwaukee was, to being what the New York Mets are supposed to be and what we are, which is a big market team now with a big market owner, right? And go out there and maybe come out of your element. Because I appreciate a lot of what he does. And I know that you can use some of that small mid market mentality and make it work for you. But is David Stearns going to have, I don't want to say the guts, but the confidence, the will to go out there and make a move, but that maybe he wasn't comfortable with making before because it could, cripple him if he made this move. Well, nothing should really cripple you right now as the president of the New York Mets. So, for example, I don't know how you felt about this, Jake, but I would like to believe and I would like to know that we made a call to try to go get a Rafael Devers. That is a bat that any team could have used. You know what I'm saying?
I think their
And
thought is they have so many third basemen. He is a
yeah,
$225 million. I think it was the
you know what happens
contract,
when
to
you
be
have
honest.
so many of something though, Jake? You have nothing,
Yeah.
right? And I love a Mark Vientos, but can we really say like these guys? And it's Rafael Devers a third baseman. Stick him at DH, damn it.
Yeah, I just think
You know what he is? He's a bat.
him not wanting to move, the no flexibility, I think that turned some teams away. The Giants have been giving out. I mean, the Giants just gave Adames that monster contract. Giants are really a big market team. I think a lot of people look at them as a mid market. I mean, they throw money around. So I'm fine with when the issue is
Yeah, and I don't want
when
to
you
get caught
get
up
that.
on like saying we should have got him,
I
but
mean,
I'm just
think.
saying like that's the kind of mentality I want, though,
But
Jake.
you think about Soto and him. I mean, that's $1 billion between the two. So that's their thought is: do we want to commit $1 billion over the next decade to two players? One who's a right fielder and a DH, the other who's a third
Hey,
baseman and
if Steve
DH.
can do, if Steve is okay with it, I'm okay with
I
it,
know,
Jake.
but now with the luxury tax, everything's double. It's that's why
Right,
that's
right,
why I
right,
thought it was genius they didn't bring Severino back. Quintana, I think, with the luxury tax, $8 million, it's a no brainer. Severino would have been 40 with the tax, so
right.
that made sense. But let me send a message. I'm going to hold my mic. I'm going to send my message to Steve Cohen and David Stearns here, Hector, here on Mets Daily. The fans are showing up. There are record attendance numbers at
Yes,
Citi Field. They
yes,
have committed to coming to the ballpark. It's now your turn to commit to putting a champion out there now. Not 2026, not 2027, right now, 2025. So before July 31st comes to an end, when I go to bed on July 31st, I don't want to have to drink. I don't want to take a melatonin. I don't want to take a magnesium. I want to sleep like a newborn baby knowing that we went all in at the
yes.
deadline. We got an ace. We got an elite reliever and we got a big bat and we put ourselves in the best position in the playoff push to go win a goddamn championship for the first time in 39 freaking years when I was -5 years old. So get it done. Show us you care because the fans care. They're selling out on a Sunday against the freaking Rockies. And it wasn't just for a Hello Kitty bobblehead. They're showing up on weeknights and more for the $5 hot dog, but to see this team. So go prove to this fan base who proves to you that we believe, that you believe back. Thank you. All right. I feel better
No,
now.
Jake. Thank you for that message. Thank you for that message. Because I was gonna do a video this morning going off, right? And one of the things I was gonna touch on was exactly that. We can't squander opportunities, man. And if you're a New York sports fan, and I know you are, and I know you're a fan of them damn Knicks, we just watched what happened with the Knicks and what who may possibly be the NBA champ. That is a squandered opportunity. You don't know when you get those back. If you're a fan of the New York Mets, you went to 2022, you went to 2015, 2006, you can go straight down the damn line. In 2015, I was told we were there ahead of time and the plan for 2016 and beyond. How the hell did that work out? Oh, but we got this pitching staff, this great rotation. We got all these young guys. Well, we're still waiting, like you said. I was 10 when we won. I enjoyed it, but damn it, not like I will enjoy it now. The time is now. This team has shown that it can win. This team has been up there in the conversation, at least record wise. as one of the best team, if not the best team in baseball. Give my guy Jake a good night.
Listen, I had to take a magnesium last night. I couldn't sleep. I don't know if it was because of the Mets, but I literally at 3 a.m. took a magnesium. That's why I was a little late this morning because I was struggling to sleep. And maybe that's the weather change. I don't know. But I think it's, and I'll talk about this weekend, Mets Daily Insider video, what this team means to me. Moving from New York was the worst week of my life. Laid off and moving the same week. What that 2024 Mets team did for my spirits personally was incredible. They lifted me up. They raised me up. I kept coming back. I was at every home playoff game. I was sleeping on friends' couches. I was like a bum. I was like a homeless man. I was sleeping on couches. And I was glad to do it because that team gave us hope. This team for the first 2.5 months gave us a whole lot of hope, Hector. And we know what they have in them. We loved some of the personalities in this room. Francisco Lindor is the face of this franchise. He's a leader, put the C on his chest. Now get us to the promised land. We've had so many freaking trips, like you said, to the championship series, to the playoffs, to World Series. But now it's time to put the ring on my finger. I'm a single man. I might not have a ring on my finger from a lady for a while. I'd rather it from the Mets. I want a 2025 ring on my finger. I'll get arrested going on a float. Let somebody get me on a float. I know a lot of people. Maybe I'll get on there. Maybe we'll be a Mets Daily float. We'll bring Hector on. We'll get on a float. But I want to float. Like, I want to be on a float. That's what I want.
Yes.
He's
I want a partner for this, Jake. I want a partner for this 86 replica ring that I got.
See,
right
you
here.
were alive. I was
Let's
-5. You were alive. I haven't seen shit. Mets, Knicks, and I won't even utter the Jets because the Jets won't even play January football past New Year's because the schedule's extended. The Jets won't play in February when my birthday is for the rest of my life. The Knicks, I mean, they haven't been in the finals since I was 9 years old, and who knows if they get back.
We're throwing parties because we win a first-round game. That's how bad it's been for the Knicks. 7th Avenue goes crazy. That's how bad it is. And maybe that's why the sports gods smack us around, too, because we don't know how to act. Just like with the Mets now. A couple of weeks ago, here we are in New York. Oh, Subway Series, maybe. Subway Series. And the sports gods say, no, hey, hold this 6-game losing streak for you both.
Yeah, they said, how about the Yankees? You don't score a run, and the Mets, you give up 10 runs a night. So it's like both worlds. It's like Mets can't pitch, Yankees can't hit, and they're coming together. So this is the face of two guys who've lost all their hair because of this franchise.
Exactly.
We got nothing left on our head. Hector in Washington Heights, tell them about your shows, where our Mets Daily family could find you. Let us know.
Basically, I'm all over the place. Not as consistent as maybe I should be. Not as good as my guy Jake here, but I do my YouTube. I call it Blunt Thoughts. Um, you can figure out why that's why it's like a double. What's that word? I always struggle with double entendre, whatever the hell it is. But it's a double meaning to it, right? Yes, I do partake. I'm a grown up. We're all grown ups here. Yes, I do enjoy a little bit of the good stuff, and at the same time, I'm gonna be blunt with my opinions. Sometimes wrong, sometimes right. Sometimes I probably shouldn't be as blunt. I should filter them. But yeah, that's what we do. So I do that on YouTube. I do videos on X. As Jake said, you can find me there at HECTOR13. Um, I do what now called spaces. I try to do them every day in the afternoon. No set time yet, but sometime before the next day's game, where we talk about the game before, look a little bit ahead. We do that, and that's pretty much it. And we're at the games and try to push this team, hopefully, man, and enjoy, like Jake said, and try to get on a float for the parade. And what I'm trying to do, Jake, I keep telling people my dream is, and we haven't seen it now for a while, but that all us Met fans are able to go and do a nice kick celebration down the Canyon of Heroes. And what kick celebration? Heck, well, if you watch these New York Mets, what do they do when they win? They get together in a nice circle and they do a nice little kick celebration. Well, that's what I want to do down at the Canyon of Heroes. But that's what we do, man. That's what we do.
I forgot what that feels like. The kick thing feels like a year
Yeah.
ago. It was a week ago, but it was so joyful when they did it, and people were making fun of them. We were like, let's keep kicking. Well, we're kicking ourselves in the face right now with this losing streak. So follow Hector. We got to do a food review. If you're there, Subway Series, I should be there all weekend. We'll have to do a joint food review. And
sounds good. I've done a few of those before. I did some last year. Like I did that. I don't know if you ever had the chicken sandwich donut and stuff like that. So yeah, and I see that you do that.
I've ate everything in that ballpark, and there's a reason I'm 245 pounds and have a dad bod, but I'm not a dad. I'm the father of chicken and shrimp parm, and that's only I got twins, and they're both Parmesanas. So yes, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe, smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to Blunt Thoughts. You know, is he a back? Are you a backwoods guy? Or how do you prefer taking it?
Oh, old school, one paper Dutch, baby.
One paper Dutch. Remember the dollar
Yeah,
Dutches back in my
we take
Hofstra
away
days?
the leaf and we
Oh,
just use the
oh,
inside.
I was vintage at that in college at Hofstra. You know, the dollar
Right.
Dutchies at Sitco, they'd give you a discount if you were a college kid. They were like, "Come on down, get a blunt."
Yeah,
They'd discount you
great.
on
What an
alcohol.
influence.
I'm like, I'm underage. They're like 10% off. I'm like, wow, this is great. And then you go to Petty Beers at Nacho Mama's across the street on Hempstead Turnpike. It was heaven.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
kissed a girl for the first time. It was glorious. And City Field opened, and now City Field is packed. So clearly we've lost our minds. I've gone delirious. Let's get a win tonight. Mets, Phillies.
Please,
We'll see you
please.
tonight. I'll be there. If you're at the ballpark, you see me, let me know. We'll be filming a lot of content. So this is a big one. At least win a game, but would love to take this series. Some tough pitching matchups this weekend. You know, tonight, Tidwell against Wheeler. Tomorrow, it's Canning versus Abel. And then Sunday is a game the Mets should hopefully win Sunday Night Baseball. Peterson versus Luzardo. Should be a ton of Met fans, especially, I think it's Apple tonight and ESPN Sunday. So if you want to avoid the broadcast, go to the game. It's a 90-minute, 2-hour drive from New York. Hop on the Amtrak. Can't wait to be there. Hopefully they turn it around. Hector, thanks for joining Mets Daily. Appreciate it. You got one more thing to say?
One thing, because I thought about it before, something you said. As quickly as we got into this 6-game losing streak, we could snap out of it and go on a 5-6 game winning streak, 7-game winning streak if we sweep both these teams. But what I forgot was how quickly we came from a 6-game winning streak. You mentioned it. Jake, I forgot all about this. How bad it's been. This how bad it's
I'm going to have
been.
a six-pack of surf sides at the game tonight in honor of the 6-game
Right.
losing streak.
But guess what? Just to finish off, because I tell my people this all the time, anybody I speak to. Yes, it seems insurmountable. Insurmountable. Gosh, I struggle with the English language sometimes.
No, you're killing it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm killing the English language.
Our country's in ruins anyway. It's fine.
Right. Whoa, that's a whole nother
We
subject.
can do a whole show on that.
Right. Listen, it may not seem like we could beat Zach Wheeler, but guess what? We don't necessarily have to beat Zach Wheeler. Blade Tidwell doesn't have to beat Zach Wheeler. The New York Mets have to beat the Philadelphia Phillies. I don't give a damn how you do it. Figure it the hell out. It could be 1-0. It could be 11-10. It could be 10-8. But we better have more than they have at the end. That is it. Please, for my sanity.
Tonight, I'm turning the season around. I'll see you there. I will yell. I will scream. I will run the field. I will yell in the face of Blade Tidwell and say, pitch better, brother. And we will win. And it starts tonight. Let's turn this thing back around. Enjoy the weekend. Let's go, Mets. Shout out to Hector for coming on. We'll talk to you all on Monday. And again, Mets Daily Insider exclusive video tomorrow. Click join below. Smash that thumbs up. Comment. Let's go, Mets. Beat the damn Phillies. Let's go.